Hi, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Erica.
And we're here today to introduce you to our latest block on board die or bob die, the Go LeMoyne Star that finishes to 9 inches.
Block on board, Lynn. Tell me about what that means.
Well, that means that all of the shapes that you need to cut out that block are on one die. And most of the dies are designed so that you can cut the entire block in one pass.
Excellent.
I know, really exciting innovation.
We've got a sample of it behind us. It's our LeMoyne Star Prism quilt, and we've done it in very, very bold fabrics by RJR. It's a really classic shape, a really classic block, but we've given it a real contemporary look with our fabric, so you can do a lot of things with it.
So what we're going to do today is we are going to show you how to put together one of the units of the LeMoyne Star, but we're also going to talk about the tips and tricks to making sure that you have a great experience with this die.
That's right. And as always, we do recommend a sample block. So before you jump into a project like this, we do recommend that you go ahead and cut one out and sew it together, maybe with some scrap fabric or maybe just one of your fabric for your project. Kind of get the hang of it. I certainly practiced last night, as a matter of fact.
Well, so did I. And it's really important. This block was designed for either a beginner or an advanced beginner because there are no Y seams. But there still are, as I mentioned, with the dog-eared corners and things like that we're going to go through.
Right.
That will help you along the way.
We've built in some great things to help you, and we've got some tips along the way so that you can get a great result in the end.
On the packaging, we've added these illustrations with the how-to die cut information.
Which are great. They make it really easy for you to follow along. Let's get started with some cutting.
All right, great. So when we actually cut the fabric, we're going to use the green-white combination that we've got started here. But I wanted to use some pattern fabric to show you or to illustrate one of the tips I was talking about. You can cut up to 4 layers, or you're going to cut 4 layers of fabric to get a 2-tone LeMoyne Star block. And it's important that you have with one color, it's going to be right sides up, and the other 2 layers of the other color, they'll be right sides down. So the right sides will be facing each other. And you will cut a 7 3/4 inch by 6 3/4 inch rectangle. Okay, so we're layering fabric on this one, not fan folding.
Now, how does our straight grain figure into this?
Okay, great question. You want to make sure that your fabric is running on the lengthwise grain as it runs the length of the cutter, through the cutter. So if you don't have your salvage edge, just give your fabric a quick tug, and this is the tight, the strong side of the fabric. That's your lengthwise grain. Your crosswise grain is going to have that little bit of stretch. So you definitely know you have your lengthwise.
Right, perfect.
Okay, so I'm going to set that aside, and then that's what I've got here with these 4 layers of our color scheme. And then the die has the 2-tone foam, so it's easy to know where to layer your fabric. And as with all Go dies, cuts up to 90% faster.
That's right.
Very accurate, safe, easy to use.
And this is a die that's going to work in our Go cutter. It'll work in our Go Big Electric that we're using here, but it would also work on our studio with the use of the Go die adapter for the studio.
So the Go Big Electric cutter is so easy. You could cut this quilt top out
in no time.
In no time at all.
Because while it's cutting, you could be getting your next layers ready to go. I just love it.
It might even be worth getting 2 dies to really get into an assembly.
Really could go quickly.
Okay, so the key here, as we mentioned, that's in your instructions. Let's see, what color do I need? I need the white.
See how we've got the dog ears laid out so that they're making a square there in the center. And that is going to really factor in when we go to putting this all together. And Lynn's going to get that laid out, and we're going to see how to sew half of one of the squares together and then put some together for you.
So what you really want to do here with all these pieces is you want to make sure, right, exactly, that you've got it laid out in this configuration. So really take a good look at those, just reiterating what you said, a good look at those instructions. And then you're going to start, we call this the A triangle, the C diamond, and the B triangle. So you're going to start sewing the A triangle to the C diamond.
Okay, I want to get started. So you can see again with those dog-ear corners, it's going to tell you exactly where to lay it out, right there on the edge, so you have it perfectly. and it's going to point out your 1/4" seam allowance as well. Lynn, does it make a difference on this piece whether I sew from one end to the other?
On this piece, it doesn't.
Okay, well then I'm going to go to the machine.
It's just important to start with those 2 pieces.
Perfect. I'm going to get this together, and then I am going to press them out. Now normally, when we're pressing on a quilt, we're going to recommend that you press to one side or the other, usually to the dark side is what we recommend. But in this case, we're going to break from tradition, if you will, and we're going to press those seams open. And the reason is that by the time we get this block put together, we could have a lot of bulk by putting those points together. And this is going to cut down on that bulk and help us have a flatter block, which is what we all want. And again, it's going to help us with that final look as well. So we've got that part put together. Now it's time to put this triangle onto it.
Right, so there you want to match up the edges, and you want to sew in from the edge you want to sew in from this edge.
From this edge, okay, so I've got those matched up. I'm going to take these to the machine.
So now at this point, with the dog-eared corners, you can see that Erica is not doing any pinning. So it makes it so much easier, such a time saver on the sewing part of it.
And they fit together in that I love dog-eared corners. I'm spoiled by them. I don't want to sew any other way. Okay, so now we've got those done. And again, we're going to press those seams open, and you can already see how we're starting to, we could really be building up some bulk with these points. But for those of us like me who love star blocks, we always have that bulk that we're dealing with and those points as well.
So any tips or tricks help, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Reduce the bulk.
So we've got this one. I did one a little earlier, another one of my practices, and we can see how those 2 line up. And again, with the dog ear, we're going to be in good shape. Now, you might want to go ahead and put a pin here on your seam, but really you wouldn't have to, because again, we've got those dog ears going for us, and they're really working in our favor. More likely you're going to want to use those pins when you do putting your squares together. So we could go right here, we could put this together, and again that was give us the 1 block. That's going to be a 4-inch finish right there, and then when you're putting them together really easily. And we've got some examples of some other layouts as well.
Right, so this is your finished, will be your finished 9-inch block there with what we started putting together. And then this one, the variation on this is just by rotating these 2 units. You get this really interesting new design.
Exactly, a great variation and really easy to do. And then with the one on the end, we've done we've done all the background in the same. It's really not only made that star pop, but given you a great vehicle maybe for using up some of your scraps as well.
Absolutely. So this could definitely be a scrap busting die where you just take whatever's left from another project and just start cutting diamonds with it, and then put it all together with a common colored background. Great idea. I'm going to try that. So the pattern that's in the package, which is the sample that's behind us, is also available for download on AccuQuilt.com.
Right, and we hope we see examples of your work with this die on our Quilter Spotlight on our website. You can find more inspiration and information on our blog, also on our Facebook page, on our Pinterest, as well as Twitter and Instagram.
With AccuQuilt, you cut time
so you can quilt more.